The final moments of season 19 slow the world down in a way only this story knows how to do. There is no loud music pushing emotions, no fast cuts trying to force tears. Instead, everything feels calm, almost gentle. The camera takes its time, letting the ranch breathe. This calm is not empty. It is heavy with meaning. It feels like the show is asking the audience to pause, to sit still, and to truly feel what this place has been through. The air feels familiar, like coming home after a long journey. Every sound matters more because there are fewer of them. Footsteps on the ground, the wind moving through the trees, the soft movement of horses nearby. These simple details carry years of memories. The final scene understands that Heartland has never been about big drama at the end. It has always been about reflection. The calm tells us that the story is not ending in chaos, but in understanding. This is a moment where the past and present quietly meet. The show lets us look back without forcing us to say goodbye too quickly. The stillness feels earned, as if the characters and the audience both deserve a moment to rest. This calm before the ending is not empty space. It is full of everything that came before it. As the final scene continues, the calm becomes emotional without using many words. The show trusts the audience to understand what silence means. Faces say more than dialogue ever could. Small movements, slow breaths, and long pauses carry the weight of the entire season. This moment reflects how much healing has taken place, but also how much pain was needed to reach this point. Nothing feels rushed because healing is never rushed in this story. The final scene reminds us that growth often happens quietly. There is no single moment that screams this is the end. Instead, the ending slowly settles in. It feels real, like life does. The calm allows emotions to surface naturally. Sadness, peace, hope, and uncertainty all exist together. The show does not try to give clear answers. It allows feelings to mix, just like they do in real life. This is why the final scene feels honest. It does not tell us what to feel. It creates space for us to feel it ourselves. The calm makes the audience lean in, not pull away. It invites us to remember why we started watching in the first place. Not for shock, but for connection. Not for noise, but for heart. The ranch itself plays a quiet but powerful role in these final moments. It stands steady, unchanged in its purpose, even though everything around it has grown and evolved. The land has seen pain, joy, loss, and healing. And now it watches the present moment without judgment. The final scene uses distance and space carefully. Wide shots remind us how small people are compared to the life they build here. Close moments remind us how deeply connected they are to this place. The ranch feels like a silent promise that life will continue even after the scene fades. It does not need to speak to prove its importance. Its presence alone is enough. The calm atmosphere shows that the ranch is not just a setting. It is a witness. It holds memories the characters do not always say out loud. The final scene allows the land to tell its own story through stillness. This choice shows respect for the roots of the show. The ending feels grounded, not dramatic, because Heartland has always been about staying grounded. The ranch does not need closure. It already knows who it is. By the time the final moments arrive, the calm has done its job. The audience understands that this is not an ending built on final words, but on lasting feelings. The scene leaves space for tomorrow without showing it. That is its greatest strength. It does not lock the story into a closed door. It leaves a window open. The calm suggests that life at Heartland does not stop when the camera does. People will wake up, horses will need care, and the land will continue to hold them all. This ending respects the idea that some stories are not meant to end loudly. They are meant to continue quietly. The final scene feels like a deep breath after a long emotional journey. It does not demand tears, but it earns them. It does not explain everything because it does not need to. The calm tells us that some things are understood without words. As the scene fades, it leaves behind a sense of peace mixed with longing. That feeling is the true signature of Heartland. Not an ending, but a reminder that home is not a moment. It is a feeling that stays with you long after the screen goes dark. The final scene of season 19 places its emotional weight on what is not said. Silence becomes the language of the moment. The characters do not explain their feelings because they do not need to. Their faces carry years of memories and every pause feels intentional. This scene understands that emotions are stronger when they are allowed to breathe. Instead of guiding the audience with clear answers, it invites them to sit with uncertainty. That choice feels honest. Life rarely gives clean endings, and this moment reflects that truth. The quiet does not mean emptiness. It means reflection. Every second feels like a memory passing through the room. The audience is not being told how to feel. They are being trusted to feel it on their own. Amy's presence in this moment carries deep meaning. Her journey throughout the season has been shaped by responsibility, strength, and quiet struggle. In the final scene, she does not need to prove anything anymore. Her stillness shows growth. She stands not as someone searching for answers, but as someone who has learned to live with them. The way she looks around the ranch feels like a silent conversation with her past. Every step she has taken has led her here. This is not a victory moment, but it is a grounded one. It shows acceptance rather than triumph. That is what makes it powerful. The show chooses emotional truth over dramatic release. The scene also reflects how healing works in the world of Heartland. Healing is slow. It is quiet. It does not arrive with applause. It arrives when a person can finally stand still without feeling lost. This moment shows that healing does not erase pain. It teaches you how to carry it. The final scene lets that idea settle naturally. There is no speech explaining lessons learned. The lesson is visible in calm breathing, relaxed shoulders, and a sense of peace that was hard-earned. This approach respects the intelligence of the audience. It trusts that viewers understand the journey without needing reminders. The emotional tone also suggests that the story is not closing a chapter forever. It feels more like a pause than a stop. The way the scene unfolds suggests that life continues beyond the frame. There is no sharp goodbye, no final statement. Instead, there is a feeling of ongoing routine. Horses will still need care. The ranch will still wake up every morning. This quiet continuation is comforting. It reassures the audience that even when episodes end, the heart of the story remains alive. That sense of continuity is what separates this ending from typical finals. What makes this section especially meaningful is its patience. Modern storytelling often rushes endings, afraid of silence. This scene does the opposite. It leans into stillness and allows emotion to rise naturally. The camera lingers longer than expected, almost daring the viewer to stay present. That patience creates intimacy. It feels personal, as if the show is sharing a private moment rather than performing for an audience. This choice deepens the emotional impact. It allows the viewer to project their own memories and feelings into the scene. By the end of this section, the audience understands that this ending is not about wrapping everything up. It is about honoring the journey. The quiet tone respects the past while leaving room for the future. It reminds us that growth does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like standing still and finally feeling at home in that stillness. That is the emotional core of this moment. And it is why it stays with the audience long after the screen fades to black dot in the final scene. The ranch is not just a place where the story ends. It becomes a silent presence that carries the weight of everything that has happened. The land feels steady, almost timeless, as if it has been waiting for this moment. While people change, struggle, and grow, the ranch remains constant. This contrast is important. It reminds the audience that no matter how much life shifts, some things stay rooted. The final scene leans into wide spaces and open views, showing how small human moments fit into something much larger. This choice makes the ending feel grounded and real, not staged or dramatic. The way the camera moves through the ranch feels slow and respectful. It does not rush past familiar places. It allows the audience to see them one last time, not as a goodbye, but as recognition. These spaces hold memories. Every fence, every path, every quiet corner has been part of someone's journey. The final scene lets the ranch speak through stillness. There is no need for words because the land already tells the story. It has seen joy and loss, and it holds both without judgment. That balance reflects the heart of Heartland itself. The presence of the horses adds another layer of meaning. They move calmly, without urgency, reminding us that life continues in simple ways. Their routine does not stop because a chapter is ending. They eat, walk, and rest, just as they always have. This quiet routine sends a powerful message. It tells the audience that endings do not break the world. They simply become part of it. The horses reflect the emotional tone of the scene. Calm, steady, and grounded. They do not react to drama because they live in the present. That simplicity feels comforting. The final scene also uses distance in a meaningful way. Sometimes the characters feel close to the land and other times they feel small within it. This shift shows growth. Earlier seasons often framed characters as struggling against their surroundings. Here, they feel at peace within them. The ranch no longer feels like something to survive. It feels like something to belong to. That change says more than dialogue ever could. It shows how far the characters have come without spelling it out. What makes this moment special is how natural it feels. The ranch does not look perfect. It looks lived in. That realism matters. It reflects the truth of the story. Life here has never been polished. It has always been about effort, care, and quiet strength. The final scene respects that identity. It does not dress the ranch up to look different for the ending. It lets it be exactly what it has always been. That honesty is why the ending feels earned as the scene continues. The ranch feels less like a background and more like a promise. A promise that even when stories change, the values remain. Family, care, patience, and resilience are written into the land itself. The audience understands that this place will continue to hold new stories, even if they are not shown. That understanding creates peace. It allows viewers to let go without feeling lost. By the time this section ends, it becomes clear that the ranch is the true anchor of the story. It does not need closure because it represents continuity. The final scene does not take anything away from it. Instead, it reinforces its role as a constant force. This is why the ending feels calm instead of empty. The ranch stands as proof that while moments end, the heart of the story remains strong and unbroken. The power of the final scene in Season 19 comes from the small details that are easy to miss. If you are not paying close attention, nothing is placed on screen by accident. Every pause, every look, and every quiet action carries meaning. The scene does not explain these details because it trusts the audience to feel them. This trust is rare, and it is what makes the moment linger. The silence between actions feels just as important as the actions themselves. It gives the scene room to breathe and allows emotions to rise naturally instead of being forced. One of the strongest elements in this moment is the way characters communicate without speaking. A simple look can carry years of shared history. A slow movement can suggest acceptance, reflection, or even quiet hope. These unspoken moments feel more honest than long speeches ever could. They reflect real life, where people often feel deeply but say very little. The final scene uses this truth to its advantage. It shows that understanding does not always come from words. Sometimes it comes from presence. Just being there is enough. The scene also plays with the idea of unfinished moments. Not everything feels wrapped up, and that is intentional. Life does not neatly tie itself together, and neither does this ending. Some questions remain unanswered, not because the story failed to answer them, but because it chose not to. This choice makes the ending feel open rather than incomplete. It invites the audience to imagine what comes next instead of being told. That openness is comforting. It suggests that the characters are still living their lives beyond the screen. There is also a strong sense of reflection woven into the scene. It feels as if the story is looking back on itself without being nostalgic in an obvious way. The final moments mirror earlier seasons, reminding viewers how far everything has come. This reflection is subtle. It does not rely on flashbacks or heavy reminders. It exists in the tone, the pacing, and the way the scene allows memories to surface quietly. Longtime fans feel this deeply, even if they cannot point to a single moment that explains it. The way time is handled in this scene is also important. Everything feels slower, almost suspended. This slowdown gives weight to the present moment. It encourages the audience to stay instead of rushing ahead. In a world where stories often move too fast, this patience feels refreshing. It shows confidence in the storytelling. The scene is not afraid of stillness because it knows stillness can speak louder than action. What truly defines this ending is how it reflects the core identity of Heartland. The show has always been about healing, connection, and quiet strength. The final scene does not try to reinvent that identity. It embraces it fully. By focusing on subtle emotion instead of big drama, the ending stays true to what the story has always been. That honesty is why the moment feels right. As this section closes, the audience is left with a sense of emotional clarity rather than finality. It feels like understanding has been reached, even if not everything is resolved. The scene respects the idea that growth is ongoing and that endings are often just pauses in a much longer journey. This is what gives the final scene its lasting impact. It does not demand attention. It earns it by being real, quiet, and deeply human. The final scene of Season 19 does not feel like a full stop. It feels like a quiet pause, placed there on purpose. The story steps back instead of closing in. This choice sends a clear message without saying it directly. Life at the ranch does not end when the episode does. It continues in ways we are not shown. That feeling is what makes the ending powerful. It respects the audience enough to understand that some futures do not need to be explained to feel real. The scene leaves space, and that space is filled with possibility rather than loss. One of the strongest signals that this is not a true ending is the sense of routine. Nothing feels broken or unfinished in a painful way. The world of the story feels stable. That stability matters. It tells us that whatever challenges may come next, the foundation is strong. The characters are not standing at the edge of something unknown. They are standing within something familiar. This creates comfort. The ending does not create fear about what comes next. It creates trust. Trust that the characters will handle whatever life brings just as they always have. The lack of dramatic closure is also intentional. There is no big announcement, no final decision spoken out loud. This absence is meaningful. It reflects how real life works. People rarely know when they are living inside an important moment. They simply live it. The final scene captures that truth. It shows a moment that feels ordinary on the surface, but heavy with meaning underneath. That quiet normality suggests that the future is already in motion, even if the audience cannot see it yet. Another important detail is how the ending avoids emotional extremes. It is not overly sad and it is not overly joyful. Instead, it sits somewhere in between. This balance makes the moment feel mature and grounded. It understands that life is rarely one feeling at a time. Hope and uncertainty can exist together. Peace can exist alongside longing. The final scene allows all of these emotions to live in the same space, without forcing one to win over the others. That emotional honesty is one of the reasons the ending feels true to the heart of the story. For longtime viewers, this scene feels like a quiet promise. A promise that the values of Heartland are not going anywhere. Family, care, patience, and healing remain at the center. The ending does not tease shock or conflict. It reinforces stability. That choice may feel subtle, but it is deeply intentional. It tells the audience that the story's strength has never come from sudden twists. It has always come from consistency and heart. The open feeling of the final scene also invites reflection. Viewers are left thinking about what they would want next for these characters. That reflection creates connection. Instead of being told what the future holds, the audience becomes part of the imagining process. This makes the ending personal. Different viewers may picture different futures, and all of them can feel valid. That shared ownership of the story's future is a quiet gift from the writers to the audience. As this section settles, it becomes clear that the ending is not about closing a door. It is about leaving it unlocked. The story steps back gently, trusting that the world it created is strong enough to continue on its own. That trust is what makes the final scene feel hopeful instead of final. It reminds us that some stories do not need endings to feel complete. They simply need to feel alive.